let's talk some defense and specifically drop coverage between Josh Okogie and Yusuf Nurkic from Sunday's game against the Detroit Pistons. All right, first play here, we are just going to be zooming in on those two and speaking a little bit to what's going on around them in terms of help defense and what could be done versus what is done. It's going to be like maybe 5 reps here. So this first rep, we're going to see the Pistons setting up in 77. Again, something that's not new to Suns fans, especially having had Monty Williams on the sideline. The Pistons are going to this with the strong side empty. So as you can see at the bottom left corner of the screen, there's no one over there. They're manipulating the space around it to open up space underneath, potentially for the roller. So as we see Cunningham get through, first thing we're going to point out is the contact that Josh Okogie has. This is not illegal. This is also not a foul. He's teetering the line. Some refs may call this. Most refs won't, but at times you could see this potentially called, saying they don't want you to even touch him. Nonetheless, he's letting Cunningham know that even though he's navigating around these screens and doing so well, that Okogie is still attached, connected, and still there. That's also a clear sign in body language to let Nurkic know who's up to touch on the second screen, which we love to see, instead of being back and conceding the elbow automatically. Letting Nurkic know that he can stay holding true to his responsibility in this defensive coverage, which is the roller. And it gets aided a little bit because of the positioning of Kevin Durant, literally at the nail, forcing Durant to navigate around him to get into his role. That's all aided by his positioning, but this is great navigating the screens from Josh Okogie, just staying connected, staying attached, and making sure that Cunningham feels him. Now, Nurkic has to be a little bit better in terms of not overhelping here. So it's not it's not too much overhelp, but just the fact that he even reacts to this eyebrow fake here before the pocket pass from Cunningham, that's just the slightest bit of overhelp to where if you concede to that mid-range pull-up for Cunningham, that's going to be contested, one, from Okogie. 2, in drop coverage, you're definitely living with pretty much any guard taking a contested midi pull-up. And number 3, if his hands don't go up here in reaction to Cunningham's potential look at the basket, if he keeps his hands low where they're supposed to be at his waist and extended, that's a steal. Like, that passing window isn't even there. So, again, just the little things in terms of positioning and body language on Nurkic's end could definitely help do him a great solid in terms of just being solid in his drop coverage and letting Okogie and the help around the pick and roll do their parts. Now, he's going to eventually get this stop here just off of his stature and ability to be big, but to even keep this pass from getting into this long roll where Durant gets this catch, and he's already with 1 foot in the restricted area, and ultimately 2 once he puts the second foot down. If you can mitigate that even more and just not let that pass even get there, you're in great shape. Next rep here, we're going to see some great influence in here from Josh Okogie. So he jumps to the strong hand from Cunningham, forcing him to go to his weak hand and keeping him in a position to where he's got the ball in a hand where he's not going to be as dynamic as a passer and decision maker. Yes, Cunningham is a great ball handler already and decision maker, but even with that, things are just not going to be as sharp or as dynamic as they would be if the ball was kept in his strong hand. So again, at the point of attack, getting the job done, Josh Okogie does a great job influencing there, firstly. Secondly, staying attached, navigating around the screen. Again, just like we said in the last rep, letting Cunningham know his presence is there, even in the rear view, as he fights back into position. And this is a solid job here from Nurkic, towing that line between splitting the two between the ball and the roller, not committing too much to either of the two too soon, allowing Okogie to do his job in terms of fighting back into the play. And this is also aided by Devin Booker not overreacting to the shakeup here from Burks. And he's able to kind of put himself in position to shrink the floor a little bit on Cunningham. And then also, can't go without noting, look at where Bradley Beal is. He's peeled in extremely early, not peeling in late. He's peeled in early. He's already set up a tent at that elbow to provide some nail help and just be a presence. By count there, that's 4 bodies around the ball handler and the roller. This is picture-perfect drop coverage defense here from the Phoenix Suns. All started with Okogie at the point of attack, Nurkic doing his job, and then also Devin Booker and Bradley Beal doing their jobs from the outer edges and just kind of shrinking the floor just enough to take things away and make reads tougher and they're going to end up ultimately getting the stop here. Bradley Beal, again, because he's peeled in early, this is a one-way closeout for him. He's able to get there, no advantages conceded, and able to play into the stop. And then we're going to see Okogie finish this off here. And it's going to end up getting a dunk on the other end. Next rep here, we're going to see a little bit of conflict here. Okogie's going to get hung up on this screen. This is a much better screen from Duren here, so hat tip and credit to him. But Okogie has to navigate this, doesn't get around it. And now Nurkic, as we can see, as the dominoes kind of fall a little bit. Because he's hung up on the screen, now Nurkic has to commit to the ball. And also that's again aided by yet another shakeup here from Burks. So Devin Booker can't really get in there the way that he was on the last rep in terms of shrinking the floor. That's going to naturally open up the flow for the roller. And he's going to end up getting into an aggressive roll, and then finishing. But again, you can see the reaction here in the relation. Okogie gets a little hung up on the screen. That forces Nurkic to commit to the ball. No one's accountable for the roller at the moment. And that pass there from Cunningham after another KG pump fake is timely and right on schedule. And it's accurate. And this is not a bad contest from Nurkic, but again, he's just not the quickest in these scenarios, so he's not able to get over with the vertical contest quick enough to affect the layup attempt from Duren enough. Now, something I will say, and something I hope the Suns get into, is from those outer edges of the floor, even if it is a shakeup, having just a slight jab at here from Devin Booker. This is obviously he's shaking up, and you see Burks, you don't want to concede just a wide open catch to playing an advantage off of that. But if you peel in a little earlier, knowing that he's coming off of the screen, if you're Devin Booker, and you get a jab at here on Duren, that's going to put a hiccup in the processing of Cunningham. One slight jab at here and then getting out to Burks, that's going to aid in helping not just Okogie get back into the mix, but also allow for Nurkic to do a better job in getting back in positioning to ultimately, if the ball does end up going to the roller, it's going to be a lot more muddied in terms of the flow to it. So just doing little things like that around the pick and roll would definitely help. And that's just something I'm kind of hoping to see from the Suns a little bit more moving forward. And then next rep here, we're going to see a solid possession here. Okogie gets slightly brushed here on this step-up screen here. Nonetheless, again, you see the arm. He's staying connected, letting them know he's there. And then we're going to see just Nurkic. And again, you're not pointing the finger, just kind of zooming in on some of the issues that persisted a little bit here. Again, we mentioned Okogie's navigation of the screen. Nurkic has to do more here. He's just kind of waiting in the weeds and reacting. And if you're just going to react and drop coverage, that's going to be conceding a lot of advantages to players that can either pull up or hit the roller, and for a dynamic roller to get to the basket and potentially put pressure on the rim. And that's obviously what happens here. You can see Nurkic acknowledging, I got to be better here on this rep at the end of it. But seeing even just the slightest bit of a one-step jab with his foot, a la Al Horford, a la even what we saw from Aiden at times, but more so from Bismack Biyombo, just to kind of deter and mess up the process and in the flow here. A one-step jab at the ball might get a reaction, but it might just be enough just to pause on his pocket pass, or getting up one-hand jab in even more into that lane where you know the pocket pass is going to be. You get one hand in that lane where you know the pass is going to go to. That's going to make it a lot harder to read where to make this pass, if it's even going to end up being made. And that's also going to buy time for Okogie to get back in the mix. So being a lot more dictative and making decisions and forcing a reaction rather than reacting yourself if you're Nurkic here is what's going to be needed more consistently. Next rep here, this is going to be a really good one. So this is just Josh Okogie simply winning at the point of attack. Takes away the initial look on the screen by influencing to the outer third. And as Hayes ends up playing with his dribble a little bit more, Okogie just continues to stay in the way, staying between his man and the ball, staying connected with activity, with some physicality. Ultimately forces Hayes to give up the dribble. And again, credit to Base Diop, not unlike with Bradley Beal a few reps ago, where he's already peeled in early at the nail. So he's in a one-way closeout rather than a two-way. He's able to get up a decent enough contest. This ultimately is a miss. But again, this possession is simply won by Okogie at the point of attack. Just being so solid and active and physical. That's just a couple of reps from what we saw from the Suns. in that game on Sunday against the Pistons. Again, nothing crazy to overreact from, just some things to kind of look forward to as we trek forward through the preseason and seeing trends and seeing player tendencies and how synergies kind of coexist with each other in the pick and roll defense.